talk about the pedagogy. Has everybody heard the word pedagogy? Okay, so pedagogy is the theories, the practice. It's basically how you teach the content. So we'll talk about the pedagogy for technology. There are many pedagogies. I'm just going to talk about two things, two theories. Then Darren's going to give you an introduction to how to use this. We'll talk about some resources, for example, the Smart Exchange, and other ways you can use the interactive whiteboards in your class. And then we'll talk about how it relates to the curriculum. And then we have time at the end for you to have a go, to find out how to get the software on your own computers. Okay, so this isn't always here, is it, Darren, or are we going to leave it here?
We'll leave it here.
We're going to leave it here. So anytime you need to use it, you can come and just ask the TLS staff and they'll give you some time to use it. So, for example, if you want to plan a lesson for one of your assignments and you want to see if it really works, or you're going out on placement and you think, oh, maybe they'll be having this there, so I need to learn how to use it. So to start off with, in all different areas of education, we talk about the content knowledge. Do you know what to teach? And we talk about the pedagogical knowledge. Do you know how to teach it? And you'll notice on your, if you ever look at your course maps, there's different coloured units. The blue ones are the content ones. They tell you what to teach. If you're doing a double degree, they're your other degree. If you've got a primary, secondary, or something like that, you'll have discipline units. They're the blue ones. The yellow ones are the pedagogical ones. How do we teach in education? So if you're a first year undergrad student, you'll be doing 1303. That's all the how. Okay, and if you mix yellow and blue together, you get green. Some of you have green units. That's where the content and the pedagogy are mixed together. So in technology, so that's where they're together. In technology, we bring in another knowledge, technological or tool knowledge. So a pencil is technology, right? So if you want to teach kids how to write, you have to know how to teach kids how to use a pencil. Right? It's the same with IT. If you're going to use IT, you have to know how to use it, and you have to know how to teach it to your students, and you have to know how it relates to your content that you're teaching. Is it worth using it? What's the best way to use it? Are my students going to benefit from using the technology or not? So you have to think about those things, and then all the way around that we've got context. Okay, you've got 25 kids in your class. Every kid has a different background. So the one method is not going to work for everyone. Not everybody will come to school with an understanding of how to use an iPad. Maybe you have to teach them how to do that. Some of them will know, some of them will not. Exactly like this group here. Some of you are on top of everything. Some of you are thinking, oh my gosh. All right, so that's the first one. And when here at university, we hope to give you all this kind of knowledge. But when you are planning an activity or planning a lesson, we hope you think about these 4 areas. So pedagogical, content, tool, and context. All right, another model I'm just briefly going to introduce to you is the SMAR model. So SMAR model, it helps you to plan using technology, plan activities using technology, and also to assess existing things. So maybe, for example, you decide to use the electronic whiteboard. Is there any advantage to that or not? So this tool works in the following way. Is the technology just a substitution? Is it just, it was on paper before and now it's on the screen? Is that all? Augmentation, does something get added? So for example, before it was in a book, now it's on the screen and there are links and there are videos. So it adds something to it, it augments it. And then we get into the higher levels, modification. So is there something that the student can do now that enables them to understand the task in a different way than having it without the technology would have? And then redefinition. Does the technology allow you to do something that you never could have done if the technology wasn't around? Okay, so I'm just introducing these today. I'll briefly talk about them later on, but pretty much I just want you to hear the words. Okay, TPAC and SMAR. Okay, Darren, do you want to come over and do a little demo?
So, when you get into your schools, and I presume that's where you're going to end up, the most important thing that I can help you with is mindset. That you can do it. you can figure it out. It's always something. When I've had pre-service teachers come into schools that I've been in, one of the most important pieces is to remain calm and to work on figuring out the solution. A number of people have laptops here. You need to know how to send the signal from your laptop to whatever projection device in the classroom. Make sure you've tried that out here in a number of different locations. We have different places that you can plug your own devices in. Be very comfortable with that. Make sure that you know how to mirror, so send your signal to whatever the display device is, and make sure that you know the different types of cables. HDMI, VGA. If you have a newer laptop, Mac Pro, it's going to be Type C, USB. Be familiar with those particular pieces. Because whatever I show you, it's going to be slightly different out in the classrooms. I've got a little bit of a presentation on the general smart board. And so this is SBX 880. The nice thing about this one is it's multi-touch. So often if you're primary, you set one of these up as a center and kids kind of rotate around. Otherwise, it tends to promote didactic whole class instruction, and that isn't really something that we want to be doing too much of. So I'll show you just a little bit about some of the features, and then we'll hop right in. When you come into any one of the learning areas, you will find an AV control panel. And again, mindset, you can do it. Simply take a look at what the various components are to plug in, and then take a look at the cables that you have available to you. So this one has HDMI and computer VGA. So if you have HDMI, then you will select HDMI on your control panel. Again, some of the control panels are touch. They're a little bit higher end, and some, like in room 110, don't even work anymore. So in that case, there's a little sign that says, use the remote control. So again, I can do it. Find the remote, look for the little on button, point it at the projector, and away you go. Now, each smartboard is slightly different. If you are in a school that has had a modern refresh, you won't find smartboards any longer. You will find interactive display screens. The intent is much the same. Picture it as a big trackpad that you just interact with your computer. And again, the important thing is whatever you have on your PC or your Mac, so whatever learning object you've created, you can display on the whiteboard. This one has a few pens enabled and a few buttons on the front, slightly different than the version here. If it has a symbol of a keyboard, it's going to bring up an on-screen keyboard. If it has a symbol of a mouse, it's going to act like a mouse. Some of the very particular features about smartboards is it has a piece of software called the Smart Notebook. And the Smart Notebook software is probably one of the best features about smart technologies. In your mind, picture Smart Notebook being like a fancy version of PowerPoint. Shows slides, but it also shows a number of interactives. Now, I can flip between screens. I'm just holding the Alt key and pressing Tab, and I can flip between different screens. So if I flip over, I can go to my desktop and start up Smart Notebook. So Smart Notebook is up to version 16, we have version 11 on any smart board that's running. I'll just show some basic features.
So Darren, can the students get this program?
Smart Notebook is available through Monash. I'm not sure if it's available for students.
I think it is, yeah. I think last year we did.
We have just got some licenses where students can include it.
It's also available as a 60-day trial that you can take a look at. Now, the essence of it is, if you think PowerPoint, it's very similar. You can create slides, you can insert different objects into the slides, and you can also simply use it as a whiteboard. And the tools that are available are pretty self-explanatory. When you're using an eraser, you can simply erase, do a circle and a tap. When you are creating objects, you need to select the object, and you'll see a little drop-down list, and it will allow you to do lots of different things. Okay? It also has resize handles and spin control. So if you've ever used clip art in a Microsoft product, you'll be familiar with those tools. Much the same. One of the great things that this has is when you create a lesson, it has a bit of a screen view. So picture a close exercise that you're doing with students, or you very specifically want them to follow along with whatever the instruction is. You can hide the screen, and when you hide the screen, you can then draw the student's attention to any particular point. The basics are very similar to PowerPoint. Some of the value added to using the Smart Notebook software is there's a whole gallery of interactives that's available in the notebook software and in the online community called Smart Exchange. And Smart Exchange has a number of learning objects that you can simply download and then install into your My Content. But it comes loaded with some basic gallery objects. And if you just browse through the gallery, you can take a look at either static images or very specific notebook files or interactives. Then it's simply a matter of drag and drop. When you've dragged and dropped, you've got the opportunity to do anything you can with any other object. You can bring your own content in. So if you have PDFs, you can insert files, you can insert images. You can also change some of the dynamics of the different properties of any object that you have. Lastly, I'll show you in Smart Notebook, it has an import feature. And the import feature allows you to bring any PowerPoint directly into the Smart Notebook software. And the value of doing that is it will allow you to use all of the interactive tools with your PowerPoint. Simply file and import makes sense, and you can bring a PowerPoint in. I've just installed it on this laptop. It's going to give me an error. I need eSolutions to install Visual Basic for me, but that's simply it. It would simply go through a conversion process and away you go. So that's the very specific notebook software that's available with the Interactive Whiteboard. The last thing I'll show you is the notebook software also has a very specific driver that, if you install on your laptop, has some tools that you can use with the whiteboard that aren't based on Smart Notebook. So you look for the little pointer icon, click it, and it gives you a little wheel to take a look at and explore different pens, different objects, pointers, and some of them are really good, such as the ability to take a snapshot of your desktop. So if you've written some notes and you want to capture them, you can take a snapshot of your desktop, and it's essentially the same as hitting the print screen button on your PC, and it will save it to your desktop or wherever else you're interested in saving it or sending it to. So besides the notebook software, take a look at the tools that are available in the control wheel. So that is the essence of a smart board. Question?
Because it's very Microsoft-based software, is there any problems when you're using a Mac computer using that software? Are there any sort of glitches, or does it sort of, is there any kind of...
No, it actually works quite well with a Mac.
So I know sometimes when you have programs and you put it over Mac, there are differences that happen, especially with the image-based software. And the other thing is,
remember that even last year they came up with an iPad app, so that you can manage the smart board with an iPad.
So going back to that, are you saying you can project your iPad on screen and the kids can work on the iPad options on that screen?
Yes, there's a version of Smart Notebook for the iPad, and so when you connect your
on the iPad, kids can do it from there.
if you have it physically connected. So you'd have to have it physically connected. It's not, I haven't tried it with, say, an Apple Air, where you just project your iPad screen onto, say, an Apple TV device. Apple
But there's no interactive thing with AirPlay.
Yes. No. You would need to have the iPad physically connected. It might work with that. I just haven't tried it.
And I'm also just making the assumption if you can import a PowerPoint, you can import like a clip from YouTube or something like that.
Yes.
Go for that, yeah.
Yep. And so again, that's a matter of inserting media, and one of the media options is videos. Certainly. And then picture whatever you can do with your PC, and we're going to take a look now, I think, at some specific websites. Whatever you can do on your PC or your Mac, you can then interact with on the smart board. We will give you a chance to use this one, and we have one in the other classroom as well that we'll set up and make available.
Okay, so thank you, Darren. So what Darren showed you, that program, you can get that program on your computer, and you can muck around on it at home, set up lessons, get everything done on your computer at home, and then you just plug it in and it comes onto the screen, right? So you don't have to be here physically at the screen to set up your lessons. You can do it all at home, and then just when you plug it in, then you can use it on the whiteboard or the app. I haven't seen the app, but the app sounds great. So once you get the software, and I believe that once you get it, actually the TLS has a code or something that allows you to have the permanent program. I'm not exactly sure, you'll have to ask them. And anytime you want to come in and play with it, just go up to the desk and say,